Welcome back, basketball fans. Welcome back. So we have an update on the Kenyan Morans team. So they're set to play in 6 days, and we're just waiting to see the final list that's gonna be tabled. And right now, the Kenyan Morans are just making some major moves, especially in the front court. They've called up Bush and Bramwell. Bush plays for APR in Rwanda, and Bramwell he plays for a team in Tanzania. So they have been called up, and they are supposed to be playing for the Kenya Morans. But it's let's just get into it. But it's actually pretty surprising because they already said that they had 29 players in there. So I know there's some players that did not pick up the call, did not pick up the assignment in there. And even looking at the first two games that they played against the Street League Select team. They also play against the South Sudanese team, the players based in Kenya. It's not an actual South Sudanese team. So it's just the players that are just based here. So they played against them, and they're just trying to find a consistent way to win basketball games. Okay, they won both games. I looked at it in depth in the previous video that I made about them. And in this video, I'll just talk about like what will happen if they don't prepare pretty well and don't select the players that they need. Because one thing that I've seen, they fielded a very long list of players, a pool of players that will be able to like go and at least contend or even like compete in there. So we have the acquisition of Bush and Bramwell. They're being put in the front court. I'm not sure how the fit is there because they only have like less than 6 days to be able to like make it work. And looking at the way like the talent pool and the way like the preparations have been set up, I don't think I'm convinced in how the Kenya Morans are setting up, because looking at the way things are unfolding, it's something that just leaves a lot to be desired. Because how is it that these players, I know Bush was on the list, on the provisional list. I looked at it, but right now they're just being plugged in. And it's one thing just to plug in good players in there, but it's another thing to like make them all work. So one thing that is not a surprise to me is how like they run their preparations. I'm pretty sure it's a rushed thing. I'm pretty sure like it's just like a basic scrimmage that they do in there. I'm not sure how their training regiment looks like, especially when you're gearing up for the Afrocan. And in the Afrocan, you're going to meet teams that have the ability to offset your power. I already mentioned how Gabon like took apart teams. I mean, the way they mishandled Equatorial Guinea was extremely like, it was utter domination. And looking at the way Kenya are just, looking all lackadaisical in terms of like their preparation, they try to pull the wool on your eyes, try to pull a fast one on Kenyans, trying to tell them that, we racked up wins in there, we won against the South Sudanese team. I know it's good marketing in there just to show, like, people are, just to get the people behind you. But looking at the way, like, you're running your things, you're supposed to be adding confidence to people so that they can be able to like follow you. So that's what they're trying to do valiantly. But the reality is, I don't think that they have changed up the way they're supposed to be playing, especially for a major tournament, or even like when it comes to, when you boil it down to preparation, you're seeing like these people are, just using the strategies that they've been using. I know they're trying to switch it up a bit, but you cannot put back in there like players in there, the players that, have failed constantly, especially when it comes to like major tournaments. I've just seen the same run-of-the-mill players in there, and you're seeing the output. Okay, they're very good players when they play in KBF, but the output, especially when it comes to national team assignments, is pathetic. And these are the same players that you insist, the team manager, the coaches, even the federation who came up with the list, insist on them being there. Honestly, the only guy that I'm very happy to see like getting a call up in there, I'm not sure he's going to turn up, but Bramwell, he has been balling out, especially in the Tanzanian league, a double machine. And also Victor. I mean, I saw like a game he scored 30 and 11, Victor Moka. So they're balling out in Tanzania. Also, Bush has been balling out in APR. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they call him up. But if you look at his stats, when you pull up his stats when he's playing for the national team, it's not wanting at all. I mean, this is a guy that, he's 7 feet. Supposed to be a guy who can command the post. He can be created for post plays. He's supposed to be a double threat, and especially an efficient rim protector. And there's nothing of that nature that he has been able to do in his time in the national team. If you exclude like that, run that they had in the Afrocan, and you take the Afrobasket stats, the way that he played, he did not play like a player that, he's not a game-changing player. He's not an game-altering player. That's not what he is. Even majority of the time, I look at the players that the federation, or even the team, the coaches, the team managers select and put there, they're not like players that can be able to like move the needle. I don't even think they move the needle, because if you look at even like Bush, Okal, Grifo, Eric, Bosire, those are the guys that, have played in the national team for a lot of games. They have played more than 20 plus games together. So if you look at those players, are these the players that are able to like move the needle and make and push us to that point where we're going to win? Because if you go by even the Afrocan team, there's this time I was like just thinking, and I just saw like a podcast in Tranel. He mentioned like the Kenyan Morans' best team in Afrocan was number 2. So the funny thing is, how is it that the best team finished for silver, and that's the best team Kenya early had at the time? And if you look at even like the progression, even if you look at the Afrobasket, if you look at the way they played in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, you could see like the total regression of these players. These players, I don't know where they stand. I don't know like the reason why they get called up. I don't know the reason why the coaching staff, the team manager, the federation insists on having these players in there. I don't get it at all, because when it comes to output and game-altering players and players who have the ability to be efficient and lead to wins, that's something that those players for the legacy team, that even I coined the legacy team, they don't show anything of that nature at all. And I've looked at a lot of games, I've looked at a lot of stat sheets, I've looked at a lot of things, especially even the off-court issues that, boil down to like mismanagement. I've covered them, especially in this channel, in depth. And I even released the Rise and Fall series of the Kenyan Morans, which is a good watch. Make sure to watch that, and leave your comment down on that comment section, highlighting like the timeline in which like the Kenyan Morans played in the Afrocan until present day. You can see like this is not a team that is accustomed to winning basketball games consistently, because they're always up and down, and the majority of the time it's always losing. And if you look at even the moves they're making, bringing in 2 players in the front court is actually pretty good. But how is it that they're coming in very late, especially in the how late, not even the qualifiers, how is it they're coming even late in like preparations leading up to the Afrocan? So it's, I don't know why I mentioned qualifiers. I mean, I've seen a lot of Kenya Morans qualifiers games until it just becomes second nature. But if you look at the way they're setting up, it's not something that is promising. It's not something that you might think that they can be able to like make you get convinced that they're going to win basketball games. And they can try to hold as many friendlies as they can. They can try to, play the Street League Select team, which is not a bad team. They're actually a good team. Even they can play the South Sudanese team, they should play like the main South Sudanese team to see how they can be able to match up against them. Because we're already seen Kenya Morans versus South Sudan in the Afrobasket, and honestly, if you ask me, they're light years ahead of us. Especially the South Sudanese team. They have a second roster that was in the African qualifiers, and they have a team that is being coached by Coach Royal Ivy, and they're headed to the FIBA World Cup. So you could see the light years ahead of us. They're going to represent the continent, while us, we're struggling to play continental basketball. So I mean, it's so sad. I'm not sure if even the players go to Angola. I don't know what we can be able to do, because one thing that I've seen is you can see, like, even when it comes to the first half, when they start off the game poorly, when they start on a whole, they're not able to bounce back, and they're not able to like get their feet wet. They're not able to like get out of those trenches, because when you see like the score at the half, their heads just drop, especially when they get to the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, and they're down like 15-20. Their heads just drop, and they're just out there, and they're just playing just to cut the deficit, and it just adds on to the lost call. I mean, that's what I saw in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, especially in the February window last year. The results are not promising. Even in the second window, which was very abysmal because of the mismanagement, you could see they just went there to participate, and you could see that the end result was the way it was: a walkover and 2 blowout losses, which just reduced the stock of the national team, and they reduced the stock of our country as a whole. Because one thing that I've come to realize is, as much as I get a lot of criticism when I'm talking about the national team, as much as I get a lot of boatload of things coming my way just because of airing my opinion, my fact-based opinion, talking about the national team, I feel like they keep deflecting a lot, and they feel like they're entitled to that failure, because that failure is what is chasing away anyone trying to look for basketball talent in Kenya, because the players that are going there, they're a representation of the best basketball players in the country. If you keep sending people who think the national team is a club, and if you keep sending those people who think that they have the ability to just stay in the national team and have low production and just use their so-called big name to be there, that's one thing that is just going to keep making the competitions the same result. We're just going to keep getting the same result at all. So I'm pretty sure there are guys who are called up for the first time to the national team that are gonna get that shot, because regardless of whatever I say here, regardless of whatever I mentioned even in the previous video of selecting the team, the powers that be are going to do whatever they want to do. They're going to continue with the run-of-the-mill players, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but if you can even barely win a game, or even 2 games, I mean, that's just the ceiling. So, I mean, you gotta tell me what you think in the comment section, because I mean, this Kenyan Morans thing is just deeper than everyone thinks. Because even on doing my inside scoop, trying to get some answers, I just found out this is it's just like a black hole in there. So please leave feedback down in the comments on what you think, and I'm out. Peace.